I'm Dana Miller with Hotel News Now. Today I'm joined with Brad Rahinsky, President and CEO of Hotel Equities. Thank you for joining me today, Brad.
My pleasure, Dana. Thank you.
So we know in 2015 the company launched its full-service division. Can you tell me a little bit about how that has helped to grow and diversify the portfolio?
Certainly. Well, prior to 2015, Hotel Equities was primarily a select service owner, developer, and operator. We made a intentional decision back in 2014 that we thought we could operate very well in that full service space, but to do that we wanted to make sure that we were deploying the appropriate resource, bringing in the right talent, making sure that they had the appropriate infrastructure to support that growth. So we spent about a year, almost a year and a half, on developing the full service division before we actually launched the division to go out, identify and attract full service opportunities. Since then, since 2015 and the inception of that division, full service inventory now makes up 20% of our total key count. And we'll continue to grow that count. Sometime between now and the end of 2018, it'll be closer to 25%.
So with that full service division, can you talk a little bit about what markets were the best to target for this? Sure.
We're opportunistic, so we get in front of that. We're proactive about the markets that we want to participate in, and we do that primarily. Our thinking around that is where can we make the most impact, both from an immediate standpoint and long-term standpoint. So we'll identify asset opportunity, and they're frankly all over the country. Hotel Equities over the past 5 to 7 years has really become a national organization. Prior to that, we were predominantly Southeast. Today we're in 25 states. We're from California to Florida to New England and everywhere in between. So to do that right, we've supported our resources appropriately in different satellite offices. So we now have an office in Florida as well, other than our Atlanta corporate headquarters. We have an office in Texas. We have an office in Tennessee. We're about to open up an office either in Colorado or Phoenix. And we've just entered the Canadian market, and we are in the process right now of identifying where in Canada we'll open up that satellite office.
Are there any certain markets where you've noticed demand has been highest for full service?
Yeah, right now what we're seeing is that there's been a flight to select service over the last 4 or 5 years. So we're a little bit contrarian in that thinking, in that we think that we take our select service model, that efficient model, and we can apply it to a full service box to provide the flow through and efficiencies. So what we do is we'll look for markets where we think that are either underserved in the full service segment or that they're misserved, that there's some full service properties that have been undermanaged, undercapitalized, and need our type of attention. So it's, once again, it's not really market, it's market agnostic. It's much more driven by opportunity.
And now jumping ahead to today, can you talk a little bit about what the company's main focus is right now?
Sure. So we've had a significant amount of growth over the past 5 years. We want to make sure in every case, in every discipline, we're in front of that growth from an infrastructure standpoint, from a people standpoint, from a talent standpoint. So we've grown our corporate payroll in the past 2 years by nearly $4 million to support that growth. We'll continue to do that, and specifically on the organic side. A lot of our growth on the people side is done organically. We have some very extensive and intense training programs, all the way from line level, all the way up to senior leadership positions. And the individual who heads that for us, prior, she did that for Marriott for 25 years. We brought her on 7 years ago. She took those programs, made them our own, and we now have the best training program in the business, which allows for us to get in front of that growth that I'm talking about by having GMs, directors of sales, RDSs, RDOs ready to go and get deployed based off of the opportunity.
Great. Any challenges or opportunities you're looking ahead to?
So challenges always. You know, we're basically at full employment economy right now. So it all ultimately and always goes back to the people piece. When you're running basically 3.5% to 4% unemployment, unless you're dipping into the felony pool, it's really tough to go out and get outside talent. So it speaks once again to the necessity, the real need to focus internally to find those hidden gems and then coach them up to get prepared for the next opportunity. You also have wage increase. You know, the wages over the past number of years has really been artificially tamped down in some cases. That's starting to creep up, which will ultimately impact your flow through and your margins, labor being your biggest piece against that. Opportunities continue to be, look, the fundamentals are strong. We're in an economy right now where GDP growth is going to land somewhere between 2.5%, possibly as high as 3%. at the macro level, that's good for all of us. Additionally, you have a couple $100 billion that was parked offshore for years because of the tax model that's now coming back. That infusion of capital will get circulated throughout the space, and that's good for all of us from a development standpoint. You know, the rates just went up 25 basis points yesterday, and we got to see what that means. I'm hearing everything from it's just noise and it's much ado about nothing to, you know what, that's going to impact some deals that possibly would have gotten done 3, 4, 5 months ago, but now they're going to get a second look. We'll see. I still think if it's a good deal, right brand, good location, multiple demand generators, high barriers to entry, the deal will get done.
This has been great insight. Thank you again for joining us today, Brad.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dana.